Well, hello everybody. Victoria and Dana here. It's been a while, or maybe not a while for you guys, but it's been a while for us because we've been busy doing things like surgeries and, you know, what we do every day, I guess. I say surgeries because I'm looking at my lovely sister from another mister who
Looks
had
like
another
it.
surgery. She does not look like hell, and she needs to stop talking about herself that way and putting that energy into the universe. But we are very happy to be back together, dynamic duo.
Yes.
Ready to answer. Hopefully, we can answer some actual questions.
Yes. Excuse me.
We're piling up.
I'm having to clear my throat because I had a breathing tube. I'm 48 hours post-op. And so, yeah, I have all sorts of like tape and found out I have stitches under the tape and I have a device that looks like a pacemaker taped to my back. I'm just all sorts of wrapped up without a pretty, well, I guess you could say red bow, but whatever. So yeah, that's so much fun. And they're like, you can't turn, you can't twist, you can't bend over, you can't do this, you can't do that. And you're like, what the hell do you want me to do? Like, what am I supposed to do?
I know
Right?
that's how I felt. I mean, I did, I'm laughing because, I always tell you I have no pain tolerance and I'm such a weenie baby. Like, if you pinch me or look at me the wrong way, I'll cry. And I don't know how you do these surgeries without painkillers. And you go through, you've had so many surgeries. And here I had a stupid testosterone pellet stuck in my butt cheek last week by my hormone doctor because I'm going through that change. And my God, it still hurts, and that's all I can complain about. And they told me I can't do squats and lunges and like work out and stuff because the pill might pop out of my butt cheek. There's like tape holding it in place because they put a hole in my ass.
So when does it dissolve? When do you?
It steadily releases over 3 months so that I can go get a pellet put in another part of my ass, and that my ass is going to be obliterated by the time I'm done with the freaking change in a few years. But that's nothing compared to what you've been through. So,
Don't come out looking like J Lo. Oh God, look, J Lo.
I can get cosmetic surgery, I suppose, if I want to be that vain. But no, I'm a baby. I hear you've had like your spine and your brain tapped into, and I get a pellet in my ass and I'm whining
Electrocution.
about it. Electrocution. Yeah, don't throw that in to make me feel worse.
No, I even have a little remote control, which I've hid from Michael because I was like, don't even try to prank me and turn it up because I'm warning you. It's not going to be in your.
What is the remote control for? To send the electrical impulses when you
I'm
have
getting them
pain?
24/7. But
Okay.
like if I find an activity is more strenuous and causes me more pain, I can turn the level up and it
Oh,
will do more. And so and then when I get the app put in, when I get the permanent one put in, then I can like touch the phone and say, going to bed. So bedtime would come on. And so if my arm doesn't stay elevated, then it will increase when it does. And then like sitting at the desk or like the first time, and people take all sorts of crap for granted. It was the first time I tried driving yesterday for the first time because I wasn't under any pain meds. And like first time ever, I was able to put my left arm and elbow on the door, like sit it on the door rest. And
no
I
kidding.
was just like, it's Christmas because I could put my arm on the door rest. And my husband was just looking at me and I'm like, you don't understand what that's like to never be able to do it. And now I can. He's like, but you can't turn to see oncoming traffic. This is my new thing today. I'm lifting a finger for all of those that need it.
Yeah, but you know what? I think that's a really great story because I think we all do take so much for granted. Like, here's me with a pellet in my ass, bitching and moaning and crying, and everybody in their daily lives, all the things we take for granted, and we complain when something isn't convenient or whatever. And you have this simple little thing give you so much joy of putting your art, which, I would think a lot of listeners could probably do more than not.
Mm-hmm.
And it's something we take for granted. And it's something that brought you so much joy. So I appreciate that you shared that because I think we all need that perspective once in a while. It's not about comparing pain or comparing lives, but just to remember that the things we take for granted sometimes are the things that somebody else is so desperately wishing for.
Right? And it was just like, oh, like I haven't been able, I can't put my hair in a ponytail because I can't do it one armed and I can't braid it. So when they were braiding it, I was like, oh my God, my hair is being braided for surgery. So I don't know if anybody has seen, but I was doing something funny before they came in. I did a Snapchat video with Aha Take on Me, and I'm in the hospital room and I'm in my gown and I'm like, doing the back and forth thing, and it's like fun. And I'm like, I'm self-amusing because they first canceled me the day before at the very last second. And then they called me in the morning when I was supposed to have it and said, all right, hurry up, get over here. I don't care, you're 2 hours away. And we're going to start in 2 hours and 20 minutes. And I'm like, oh
Yeah.
my God. So I get there and I'm like, I need caffeine. I have a headache, whatever. And so they were trying to get me ready, and my husband and child were out in the waiting area. And so I was just like taking the phone, doing this, and just having fun, waiting and waiting.
Yeah. And we were talking about that actually before we came on. I think that's important. Sorry, I just knocked myself here. I have to move all
Don't
the
fall on your
time. I
ass.
can't do squats and lunges, so I'm like putting my feet up and my knee, legs up on this. I need to stretch and move and anyway, but we were talking about like we need to remember to do those things that bring us joy, even in the worst circumstances. You're basically having impromptu surgery, like
Yes.
major, and it's a pretty, when you were describing it to me, it scared me, but I mean, I love that you could like take a minute to like remember to be you and have fun and just do something joyful, because that's what we lose in life is that playfulness and the fun. Even in the worst of circumstances, you can find something that's positive.
Well, and of course, knowing who I am, as I'm being wheeled down, and I'm like, I don't want Versed. I don't want any of this. I don't, nope,
Yeah.
nope, nope. I love the coldness of an operating room. I love how freezing cold it is. I think it's fantastic.
Oh my
So
God.
as I'm going in, I'm like, you have kids? I know a surgeon has kids. You have kids? And I'm passing out Stucco Squad membership
Yeah.
for their kids. And I'm like, here's a bracelet for your kid. Here's a bracelet for your kid. And they're like, that's not sanitary. And I'm like, well, nobody's gone in and done what they're supposed to at this hospital. This hospital sucks. And I was like,
Yeah.
so here you go, here you go, here you go. And I'm like handing out little bracelets for their kids and VIP cards. And I'm
I love
wheeling
it. I love how you're like marketing in the surgical room.
and I'm like, that's what you guys can't afford it, but it's free for your kids. It's helping them realize how amazing they are. It's
Right.
helping the self
Right.
esteem. There's no fee to it. And I'm like,
Right.
because, a lot of doctors are cheap. And I'm like, here, not to us, but to themselves. And I'm like, here, and let your kids have a bracelet and go sign on and have fun. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, that was all sorts of loving and exciting fun. I've had a
Amazing.
few people who have asked me, why is it that the narcissistic parent gets like scot free away with everything? And I can agree with that because, like, my sperm donor, you know, as shocking as it is like, knock on wood, as I knock on my head, outside of injuries, I have never been sick, like, outside of injuries. And his bloodline, my grandmother had cancer, my grandfather had cancer, my grandfather had heart conditions, and why I've had people ask, why does it seem like even the demons don't want to infect the narcissistic parent because they're never sick, nothing ever happens to them, they get away with
No,
everything.
they're not. I can explain that. I mean, if somebody really wants an answer,
Oh,
unless
I've
you were
gotten
about to
a couple
explain it.
questions with that.
Yeah, I don't think that people understand, because I didn't understand it until we've all heard that stress can kill you. And, if anyone has read my first book, Gasping for Air, that's what made me sick, was what I call life stress, chronic stress. It actually causes, when you have that much cortisol, the stress hormone, and other things happening in your body as a result of chronic stress, which being abused, living with a narcissist, even if it's just, I hate to say just verbal abuse because it's almost the worst of all of them, but you know, that is stressful. That is considered stress. That actually causes inflammation in your joints. It causes white blood cells, red blood cells. Everything is happening in your body. Cancer, people don't realize, comes from inflammation. The toxins in the foods you eat come from, or create the inflammation. So, yes, living under that stress makes you sick. Autoimmunity is directly linked and solidly correlated over and over to abuse and abusive situations. My lung syndrome, although very rare, and a lot of doctors have never even heard of it, guess what? It is highly common in victims of abuse. So, yes, if you're in an abusive situation. So what that means is the narcissist, yeah, they're going to live till freaking forever because they don't get sick. You know why?
That's what they
Because
were
they have
asking.
no remorse and no empathy. Right. But that's my long explanation of they're not living under stress. In their world, it's all about them. And but I think this speaks to narcissism because we can lay out 100 different qualities of narcissists, but the two real big ones and all the different types are no remorse, no empathy. If you're not worried about what other people are feeling or thinking, you just don't give a flying F. Well, of course, then you're living pretty stress free because I think one of the problems with the rest of us is we worry too much. We're
Yes,
worried if I say this, if I do that, what'll they think? My kid needs this, never mind me that. They don't care. It's all about them. And what a nice way to live. No stress. And they have no remorse. So they actually think that they are entitled and justified in doing all the things that they do. So they don't have the doubt and the worry and anxiety and all this other stuff that creates all the stress in our bodies, that creates the inflammation that causes us to have joint pain and back pain and cancers and this and that. So sorry, I'm ranting because it pisses me off.
love
This is where
it.
that listener that said, "Where does
Mastermind
when
Puerto
is the
Rican.
Puerto Rican going to come out?" This is when the Puerto Rican comes out
I
because
love
it
it.
pisses me the f off. That yeah, they're going to live till they're effing 100 with no freaking problems and no cares in the world, and they sleep real effing good at night, while you and I can
Exactly.
barely get 2 or 3 hours of straight freaking sleep because we're so consumed with all the crap in our head of what they did to us. So that should answer everybody's questions. A lot of what we go through, honestly, does come to chemical bodily things, whether it's, directly from our brain or in our bodies, but it's a very real mind body connection. And for those listeners that haven't really delved into that, I would encourage you to start looking into that, because even when I was a kid, oh my gosh, once my mom moved us in with that man that she's still
Oh,
married to,
I
my
remember
abusive
that.
stepfather, I mean, I really didn't get too much into it in my second book, but the stomach aches and the headaches, but I mean, to say it was chronic, and I mean like chronic, like to the point where I just didn't want to play with the other kids. Or summer camp, I was always like huddled under a tree, like just holding my stomach, and my head hurt, and the heat didn't help, and the sunshine. And it's just a miserable way to grow up, but nobody thought anything of it. Of
Right.
course, my mother thought I was faking it, but it was, I'm realizing looking back what I know now, those were all signs. All the
Yeah.
miscarriages I had in my first marriage before and after my son, those were all because my body was like not trying, to carry a baby. I couldn't even barely function because I was living in survival mode. So how could I survive and allow a baby to survive with me? It's just your body really is an amazing thing, the way it works, but it all goes back to what's up here. And when we're undergoing that much stress and the emotions, it really does affect the way our body works against us, unfortunately.
Right. And I'm just curious because so many people say, how come nothing ever happens to them? It's not fair. And you're right, it is absolutely not fair. It is a
No.
1000% not fair that they get to like skirt through and just be them. I mean, but they're
Well,
not
it's not
happy,
that
they're
they get
miserable.
to, they choose to. That's the thing. They choose to because they're making, as narcissists, they are choosing not to care about anybody but themselves. They don't have the capability to care about anyone but themselves. And so there is no doubt, there is no anxiety, there is none of that stuff that creates all the illness. So they're not going to be sick, and so it actually makes perfect sense. But no, it's not fair, it's not right, but it's the way it is. And what we need to do is learn to be, because we all have some narcissistic qualities, but we don't want to be like them, but we want to be like them in the sense that we heal enough to get rid of that self-doubt and to not have that anxiety, to stand firm in our truth and to assert ourselves and set boundaries. We're still going to have a little of that, like, should I, shouldn't I? I'm worried about if I say this or do that. But if we can get pretty confident in who we are and stand in our worth, then we can eliminate a lot of that. But no, we don't want to strive, certainly, to be like them.
Right. And this is probably kind of out left field, but I just wanted to give the edification of it. To do this process with this device in my back, um, it goes into your brain. It goes up in your neck and it goes into your brain. And the thing is that what I found to be ironic is that they make you sit with a psychiatrist for 4 hours and you have to do it or insurance doesn't approve it. And the psychiatrist has to explain to you that you're going to get some kind of foreign body into your body and how your body has to get acclimated to it, right? So I meet with this psychiatrist, sweet, wonderful woman. And she's like, I said, listen, do I really have to do 4 hours of this? This is not my first game. I have a toolbox within my body. I am full of tools and plates and screws. I mean, I'm like a dinner collection at Macy's. I mean, come on. And I said, this is nowhere near my first go. I mean, my shoulder's been replaced. I have a plate here and I have 32 pieces in my face or
Yeah.
26, whatever it is. And I was like, I am full of metal and I really don't think I need this 4 hour thing. And she's like, well, I have to have you do questions and stuff so that I can do this. So we're talking, excuse me. And so she goes on and she's like, yeah, I think after about 40 minutes we're done. And so I was like, thank you. I said, but let me ask you something. Why is it that we have to go through to be tested to see if we are psychologically sane and stable to get a device put in us, but people who are abused, their abusers don't have to do anything? And she's like, I know, I don't understand it at all, at all. And she's like, because most people that I have to interview have been through something traumatic in order to get this kind of device put in. And most of the time it's a car accident or something like that.
Hmm.
And I get it. But she's like, I don't understand why, all these other adjectives she used
Right.
don't have to go through any of this. And she's like, it makes no sense to me at all. And she's like, our system is so backwards and messed up because first thing should be done is like a huge psychological evaluation on these idiots who are doing so many things wrong. And they're
Yeah.
not. They're just getting a big old good old boy pat on the back and they mosey on their way.
Yeah. I mean, it's very true. But then, what recalled in my mind when you were talking like that, and I agree with you wholeheartedly, but, I remember when my mother and stepfather wanted to once again scapegoat me that I must be crazy, or
Right.
whatever, because, they weren't, they were neglectful and abusive. But my mother insisted on taking me to the hospital because I had to be on drugs because I was crying over, something that happened at school, was being teased a lot, and I was just having a hard time. And, I had emotions and she didn't know what to do with me having emotions. So I had to be on drugs. That was like a theme of my childhood. And fast forward at the hospital, she insisted I get tested for everything. And of course, I'm actually to this day 49, never done any recreational drugs, never smoked pot, nothing, never smoked a cigarette actually either. But they did end up bringing a psychiatrist at her insistence. And you know I mean, he noticed, and my mother actually pointed out, oh, look, she must be self-inflicting, she's got marks on her. And I'm like, yeah, because you just like strangled me and threw me downstairs and stuff. And, or that was another night. Sorry, I can't keep track of these. But there was a scuffle at home. And yeah, I had red marks, my bruises, scratches, everything. And I didn't say anything. But of course, I mean, especially I mean, you work with a lot of kids that, have been in abusive homes or are currently, and they're afraid. You're afraid to say anything. Like I almost did just take the fall. I would have taken the fall and just been thought crazy, diagnosed as crazy instead of
Right.
admitting what actually happened because of that fear. But no, it's just like when people say, oh, can a narcissist be rehabilitated? Because strangely, there are actually people that believe in this diagnosis, and believe that, oh, with 2 years of therapy, they'll be better. And, bull crap. I don't believe that for a damn second because there is no, unless it's a covert narcissist that's trying to gain, like you'll see these, like on TikTok, I see them. Oh, here's a narcissist on a live, that ask me anything about narcissists, but I'm a rehabilitated bullcrap.
Bullshit.
You are using the term, you are trying to gain attention for yourself.
That's right.
You are hopping on a trend for the notoriety and the fame. You are not
100%.
admitting you're a narcissist, you stupid shit.
It's like that Feed Me Seymour from, that movie.
Oh, 100%.
And it's like, feed me, feed my ego, feed me.
Exactly. Exactly. And the only reason they're going to go to therapy is if they can make you out to be a crazy person or somehow get some kind of gain from it. But they're not going to go willingly and say, yeah, there's something wrong with me. Are you kidding? It's always going to be something wrong with you.
Yeah, absolutely. Always. There's always going to be something. And they cannot take responsibility. They can't take
Ooh,
accountability for
yeah.
any of their actions. They can't and they won't. It doesn't matter. And, it's mind boggling to me that these people just think that really and truly they've done nothing wrong and that it's
Yeah.
not them, it's us. Right. And I just want to like
Yeah.
take my, again, my psychological evaluation and go put it in their face and be like, hey, Momo, here, look, and it's like, it's not us, but the people who need to be on the couch are the ones that never want to go, right? They don't want to go on the
Yeah.
couch. They're just like, no. And one of the parents that I'm working this horrific case, this is probably one of the top two cases I've ever worked with that was so much work. And part of the family is just a godsend. They're amazing. And then there's another part of the family where I'm just like Beetlejuice. And like they knew I had surgery, and I'm going to be very cryptic. They knew I had surgery. So this is day two because I had it on Wednesday. So yesterday, I tried to just drive in my neighborhood just to make sure because you can't turn or twist, and I want to make sure if God forbid something happens with Faith that I can drive. And for those of you who maybe knew, we welcome you. But Faith has had a lot of medical issues. So if people are like, why is mom driving to see? Faith has had a lot of medical issues and was life threatening issues a year ago. So I'm a
Mhm.
medical mom on top of everything else. And so I'm always ready, God forbid. So this person that I'm helping messages me, knowing I just had surgery, and asks me to go pick up their child. And I was like, what? And I looked at my husband. I was like, "Are you serious right now?" And I was like, "Go pick up your kid because you don't want to put three other kids in car seats and go get your child yourself." And I'm like, "Oh my!" When this court, I have court next week for this with them as their advocate. I'm done. Like I will go to the moon and back. Anybody who knows me knows that I will go to the moon and back, and I am your biggest advocate. I will fight for you, with you, by you, anything I can do, I will do. But if you won't get your ass off of the pot and do something for yourself and those kids, more importantly, forget you, worry about these kids, and you don't want to do what's right by these kids, then you know what? You don't deserve these kids. Like,
Yeah, agreed.
I mean, I
Agreed.
would have
And
done
I'm
anything
going to
bad.
say, we all know you're very giving and generous and all that. And I'm not dismissing that, but you should not ever have to qualify why you feel the way you feel because that is just the narcissistic temperament. Somebody just asked me earlier today, what was it about you that your narcissistic ex found attractive? Like, why did they prey on you? And I said, servitude. That's what
Yeah,
every narcissist wants,
yeah.
servitude. He sniffed me out coming out of an abusive childhood, even though I was like, nobody's ever going to treat me that way again. I'm going to, I'm strong and I'm independent and I'm smart and all this. He sniffed out that I would do anything for the love that I hadn't gotten in my childhood. I
Right,
would hold on to it for dear life and try and put my all, put
right.
1,000% servitude.
Yes.
Served me up on a silver platter to that mother trucker. And
And
that's how I
they
ended
thought
up
their
in that
claws in it.
20. Yes. They lure you. He said exactly what I needed to hear. You tell a girl that never experienced love from either parent in her whole freaking childhood and was beaten and called all kinds of things. Oh, it's the two of us against the world. It's you
Girl.
and me forever. God, I didn't like him, but that was very alluring to me. That was a fantasy, and he promised it to me. He promised me everything I ever wanted. and I
They're
fall for it.
very charismatic. They're so
Yeah.
charismatic. It is a sick and twisted talent that they possess.
Yeah.
They have on this ability to find your weakness and placate on it. Like I wanted kids so badly. I wanted to be a mom so badly. And when Michael and I had broken up, I was devastated. I knew he was mine forever. I knew back then, and I was devastated. And then all of a sudden, this thing comes into my life, and it was like, you would be such a great mom. And my family fosters foster kids, and
Oh,
everything in there. And I
yeah.
was like, and then I was like, I'm so selfish because I wasn't attracted to him. There was nothing I could find
Yeah,
about
I can relate. I the
right.
same.
And I'm like, maybe I'm just being so shallow. And then
Right.
it's like, well, you give all this time to him and you didn't go anywhere. Why don't you? And then the next thing you know, you're like in the express lane of a
Yes.
relationship. You're like, dude,
Yeah.
slow down. And it really is. It's
No, they
almost
literally
mind.
sweep you off your feet. They
Abs-
know they are able. I mean, I've heard it said about like, certain really good salesmen or people in high positions that, they just have this gift of just they can meet you in 2, 3 seconds, know your weakness and know how to sell you that whatever or whatever it is. And it's the same with narcissists. They literally do have a sense. They know. And you don't even know that you're giving off the vibe or giving the information, but the one thing if can give anyone any information, I had learned a little late, but you have to learn to just keep everything close because, the one thing that I can say that I have given to my son is this gift of knowledge that if you want to keep something a secret, you don't tell anyone because I don't care. You tell your best friend, your mama, your sister, oh, don't tell. Oh, they're going to tell. Okay. How many times have all of us said, I'm not supposed to tell, but hey, honey, at dinner time, da da da
right,
da da da, but don't
right.
tell anybody because I wasn't supposed to tell you. And then next thing you know, the whole damn town knows. At least that's how it works out here. So,
Yeah.
you don't say anything because you know what happens with narcissists. And I have had narcissists that I didn't know were narcissists that ended up this last one really just she has taken every damn thing I've ever said or done and twisted it real good, really well. She's very crafty. But everything, it could be your favorite color. It could be your favorite ice cream. It could be something you wore one time. It doesn't matter. Any tiny bit of information they're collecting in their head
They
because
are.
they will find a way. It's going to be used to lure you, to
Mhm.
smear you, to hurt you, whatever it is. You don't even know. Oh, I have one child. He's my everything. Oh, well, now you've just told them that the way that they're going to hurt you is to pit that kid against you one day or to do something to your kid or to smear your kid's name because then you're going to react and they can say, "Oh, look, she's crazy. See, I told you she was nuts."
That's exactly what
They're
happens.
very interesting. So I always tell people, if you even think somebody's a narcissist, and believe me, we've all had conversations with people and had no clue, but
Right.
keep things close because everything will be used against you, literally.
Yeah,
Everything.
absolutely. Everything does. And it's sad because I'm so sorry. I hate this because that too my
No,
throat.
it's okay, honey. You don't have to be sorry. You had surgery.
Even
I can't even
my
believe
throat,
you
I'm like,
here.
but it's the fact that like, you go above and beyond to help people and they find that one weakness. And most people don't realize the bigger and when I say this, some people are like, what? And I really want our listeners to hear this because what most people don't realize is people are so threatened by the narcissist, right? That the narcissist is that evil that is the opposite of live. Turn live around and it spells out evil, right? So it does, and it's like
No, I
stress.
know the character in my last book. What was the Evelyn? Because
Evelyn,
the beginning of that is evil. Yeah,
right?
yeah,
And
and that's
Damien
what she
was
is.
mine because of a
Hmm.
demon. But
Yes.
the thing is that when you think about it, and they are just this horrific mastermind who placates on you. But then as it goes on and on, do you know who really is the one that has it? It's the black sheep because we are the ones that will come out and we know the truth. And so they try to belittle us because in their mind as a narcissist, they fear the black sheep. And that's why they try so hard to tear us down, not only to ourselves, but to everyone around, that we're the liars, that we're the crazy ones, because we hold the truth and they don't want it to come to fruition. So, in a way, we are their biggest fear
Oh,
because
absolutely.
but see, so many of our listeners haven't realized that yet. And I really wanted us to talk about that today because so many people are like, it's the narcissist who ruins our life. It's the narcissist who has so much control. But see, they take who they consider to be the weak one, which is the golden child, and they, put them up on such a platter that they're wonderful. And then they keep the siblings apart so that they don't communicate with each other. But it's the strong willed ones who get all the proof and the evidence, like we have, that know the truth, but the narcissists think they can scare us into submission where we won't be forthcoming with it. But at the end of the day, the narcissist has to threaten us with left, right, and center of everything. Like one of the dumbest, and I will own it, one of the absolute dumbest things, and I've been doing this 19 years, that I've ever heard from a narcissist is if you tell your mother that I'm seeing another woman, I'm going to make her believe that you made me do it. And this actually came from my sperm donor, right? This is actually at home
But
fetched.
he would do that. That's the
He did.
thing. They
No,
don't
he
care.
did.
I
He did.
know. I read your book, Narc Who's There. That's what this podcast is
But I'm
named after.
who in the hell can actually, as women, if, most of our listeners are women, there are some men, and we welcome everyone. But who in the hell can say, okay, my spouse is cheating on me and my child made them do it? Let me do this as ungraphic as possible. We don't make that other person put anything of theirs or the other one, the narcissist, into one another. We're not like playing Legos. We're not connecting them together. Their actions are doing it, and they're trying to push it off on us as the scapegoat. So when my sperm donor said, "Hey, if you advise your egg donor that I'm seeing other women, I'm going to make her believe you made me." Well, let's dissect that for just a minute because so many people who listen to us don't understand the minds of a narcissist. And that's great because that means you're really not this controlling narcissist. But the narcissist realizes that the black sheep has this information. They are a little concerned and worried that maybe you would give it out. So that's another reason they try to make you out to be a habitual liar, that you're psychotic, you're crazy, you're bipolar, you're this, you're that, that you're
May I
untrustworthy.
may I intervene one thing?
Absolutely.
I don't think they're scared or worried. I think they do that intentionally. I
What do
don't
you
think they're capable of concern or worry. They want you to have that information. They
right?
want
They're
you to
concerned
know because
you
now the
close.
responsibility is on you and it's their test. Are you going to be loyal to me or are you going to be loyal to that other person?
Right. But
And
they're
there
also
you're going to get screwed regardless.
either way, right? So it was my
Okay.
fault, quote unquote, that my
Right.
son owner took a woman away for a weekend. We'll just use that analogy or
Right.
example. But we didn't. But they try to make it where it's almost like they don't take ownership for anything. And you need to realize that they have no ability to have accountability, no ability to take responsibility. When something happens, it's never their fault. It's always someone else's fault. It doesn't matter where you are. You could be in a different state, you could be in a different country. It doesn't matter. It's still your fault because whatever the narcissists want didn't fall into place correctly, and they cannot hold themselves accountable for their incorrectness. They can't say that they
Well,
were
they
wrong.
have an agenda. They have an agenda, and what they have to do is if you are threatening their agenda for themselves, then you have to either be on board with them, you either have to be for them, and if you are not for them, you are against them.
You better
That is
watch
how it
out.
is. So I always like say my stepfather, I was the horse he couldn't break because I never looked at my brother necessarily as weak. It was just I call it pliable because,
It's a great word.
fathers and mothers are should love their children. They should be. Well, they were with him. They were with
Right.
him. And so in my brother's mind, he's thinking I must be the problem because the same two people are parenting him and they are the best parents that anybody could ever even imagine having, which they were to him. Even I will say to him, they were absolutely that. To me, it was a freaking horror show. And it's just very interesting. narcissistic parents and narcissistic partners, it's very similar. I mean, it's all the same, but either way, they have an agenda, and the agenda is always putting them at the top, putting them, and it's, even in narcissistic friendships, if you threaten something about them, some insecurity that they have about themselves, if they think you're going to do better, be better, God forbid, if they think you're a little prettier than them, especially women, forgive me, but women are the worst narcissists ever when it comes to narcissistic friendships. They're just nasty. I just can't deal with it. But you're going to be ruined. You are going to be, they will take everything, and what they do, trying to call you crazy and everything else, basically everything they are, they will say you are, including you're the narcissist. And the only thing that I think, and I think everybody will agree, I still struggle to understand, like in my own experiences. I literally know somebody who's a rocket scientist for NASA, like that has been swayed by narcissistic bullshit. And I'm like you're a supremely intelligent person. I know doctors, surgeons, judges, attorneys that have believed with no evidence, no proof whatsoever, and become flying monkeys for these narcissists. And that's the thing that always stunts me, is because I try to think, I'm always trying to play devil's advocate. Even if I feel a certain way, I'm like, okay, like, let's look at this, like maybe this, or maybe where can we find some element of proof or substantiate this somehow? But I don't know how they do it with nothing but taking, they can take one line text, and you mean this, and they know what you mean, but they will twist it around and make everybody believe this. You're villainized, and you're the horrible human being. I recently, I don't know if you remember, I had somebody, my most recent narcissist, the one in book 3, Evelyn, had one of her flying monkeys, who happens to be a 70-some-year-old woman who is a well-respected government employee, a judge in our government. She actually somehow got this woman to post a review on one of my books. And by the way, it was supposed to be a review of book 3, but she accidentally, I guess they should get their information right, she put it on book 2. But this woman actually put that, like, she made it out like she knows me personally. That's how she started to set, like, she knows me personally, and she's got the dirt because we're so close. And I'm like, yeah, I knew this. She was a client of mine at one point. We never engaged socially, never, ever. I never said anything to her about anyway. So this third narcissist somehow convinced this 70-some-year-old judge that I used to know, that was a client, to say she knew me personally, and she knows for a fact that I'm really the narcissist, that she's staying as cold-hearted and manipulative. And then she did cross the line, though. I'm not going to lie. I was annoyed by this, but I was pissed when she she brought my son into it and said she knows for a fact that I abused my son for years. And I'm like, now,
what?
You better watch it. If you're a small town, like just running around, running your mouth, I could almost let that go. But knowing this is from a judge whose whole career is based on evidence and finding truth and substantiating claims with proof, and you're going to defame my character when there is zero evidence, not to mention I am a victim of child abuse myself. And in that marriage with my son, I did everything to protect him, including throwing my little tiny 100-pound body over him, even when he was 17 years old, to protect him from his father's fist. So kiss my ass, you stupid bitch. But beyond that, I'm still pissed that, like, how does somebody with an intelligent brain believe bullshit? Excuse my language, everybody. Today I'm on it, right?
Go ahead. Come on, honey.
No, but I think it's an interesting thing, because it's like, okay, the narcissists are an a-hole's an a-hole, right? I always say that. But
They're
these flying
awful.
monkeys, the flying monkeys are what get me because this goes back to what you were starting to say about your sperm donor. Because what got me about that situation when I did read Narc Who's There, your latest book, it was that yes, if you tell your mother, it's going to be blamed on you. But my problem is that like my mother, she would probably believe it. So the problem's not so much the narcissist, but again, the people who believe it. Why would I can't speak for your mother. I have an idea, but I can speak for mine. My mother would believe it because my mother, I mean, we can talk about all the abuse she endured in her life. And obviously, I can presume at the hands of her own husband, but my mother's a dissociator. She's a
Mhm.
gaslighter. None of that ever happened. Like even when I would be like being literally abused 5 feet behind her and screaming for her to help me as I'm getting beat the crap out of, she would just be washing dishes, looking out the window. Like she can dissociate like nobody's business and like take herself. I don't know if she was like astrally relocating, but like literally just like remove herself from the situation. And I think that in my case, if that had happened to me, you know, my mother would have believed that it was my fault. My mother would have believed that I somehow hooked them up and just invited them on this, weekend thing that I was going on so that they could consummate their, you know, forbidden love or whatever. It would
Right.
be my fault. It wouldn't be his fault. It wouldn't be the other woman's fault. It would be my fault.
Right.
Just like I think with your mother, I think that these women know exactly what they're in and they know exactly what they're dealing with. And your mother's a peach in herself, but egg donor, sorry. But I think that they tolerate, I always say they enable, excuse, and tolerate because they're getting a benefit. In my mother's case, my mother has actually told me on a few occasions that, well, if she would ever leave her husband, she likes her big fancy house and she likes her fancy cars and she likes her fancy, she can go and shop and buy and do, and nothing else matters, including me. So,
Horrible.
and that's her, you know what? We can to say horrible is a judgment, and I agree. I'm not like that, but at the same time, you know what? That's her choice. We all have free will.
It's her
She
loss.
chooses,
Her
she
loss.
chooses. Oh, absolutely. I'm fabulous. I
You
mean,
are beyond fabulous. Like beyond
yeah.
fabulous.
But you know what? The thing is that I always say this. I say this almost every episode. Biology does not make you inherently compatible with people on a social level.
Hey,
Just
hey,
because you
sister.
came out of somebody's body does not mean you're going to get along. I wish that every girl had the relationship that you have with your daughter, that mother-daughter relationship. Every woman should have you as a mom, and every daughter should have that mom that they know no matter what they go through in life, my mom's got my back. And it sickens me. My mom has left me hang out to dry and literally fend for my life by myself. Nobody should, and I hate the word should, but nobody should have to endure that. It should be what you and your daughter have. Even me and my son, we're good, but not like you and your daughter. You know what I mean? And I wish he at least had his dad, even though his dad's a POS, but he doesn't even have that with his dad. It just doesn't work that way. It just doesn't work that way. So we find our family in the people that do love us and accept us. And I would even go so far in my experience to argue that the people that love you and they don't have an obligation to because they're not your blood relation, they're not your second cousin on your mother's side separated by 6 or whatever. They don't get people that love you willingly and want to love you. That's better than somebody that's supposed to love you. That's all I'm saying. So
Yeah.
find your people. The people are out there, and you don't maybe need a whole big bunch of people. Maybe it's just one or two.
Right.
Even that's better than nothing.
That's
That's
true.
better. That's better than anything, honestly.
Well, I have to tell you, like, even when I was having this last surgery, and Faith is in there, the doctor comes in, anesthesiology comes in, and she's like, "Good luck, because my mom's not doing percent. My mom's not doing this." Yeah. So she's like, and I'm very smart about whenever I'm having it. I was like, "You guys have any questions for the team?" Because I want her to feel heard. I want her to feel vocalized.
Right.
And so she was like, "Yeah, come here." And so the guy walks over and she was like, how many times have you done this? How many times have you put these wires into someone's brain? How many
It's a
times?
valid question.
Right. And so she's like, I'm not done, so don't answer me. And I'm sitting there and I'm trying so hard not to laugh. And she was like, let me make sure you understand this. And she's like, I might be little, but I'm powerful and I have a very big mouth and I'm not putting up with any crap. And I'm telling you right now that I better not hear that you made not even one mistake on my mom. I mean it because the only thing you have going for you is that there's empty beds in this facility. That's what she said. She's like, because I can't replace my mom. Nobody can replace my mom. And if something happens, I can't function without my mom because I have obstacles that I've had to come over. And there are things that I know I can't do that my mom has to help me do, but she tries to teach me in different ways. And of course, my husband's like, what about me? And she's like, what about you? I'm talking
No,
about
it's not the same.
not you.
Yeah.
And so she told the doctor, she's like, I don't want you to do anything that causes one iota of unnecessary pain on my mom. Like, and she's like, I wonder how many times you've put these wires in someone's head. I want to know, and she was like, I don't want a blood clot. I don't want this. I don't want that. And she's like, you better say you're going to do your best care. And she's like, I want to know if you're tired. It's the end of the day. You called her in at the last minute. Is this your last surgery for the day? My mom is not a case. She is a person. And I'm just sitting there and I'm so proud. I'm like such a mom. And she's like, my mom takes care of me and I take care of her. And it was like,
Yeah.
and then it was the sweetest thing because people don't do that anymore. Like,
No.
they don't. And then she was like, I'm small, so be careful because I can find you. And it's adorable. And she was serious. And then
But you
she
know what?
just
It's because she understands, she loves so fiercely
she
and
does.
so loyally. I mean, I'm gonna interfere with just a little tidbit. My favorite memory of her that this reminds me of, and it was just like a couple months ago, but like out of nowhere, like we weren't even like communicating. She just randomly texts me, like, what's your husband's name? And I said, Doug. And she goes, is Doug good to you? I said, yeah, he's very good to me. And she goes, are you sure? Are you sure? I'm like, yeah, I'm very sure. Why? She's like, because if he's not, I can do stuff. I can make. I'm like, honey, are you looking for a fight? But
Fight
it was like, that was her way of saying, I love you. That was
this.
like,
And then she goes to kiss me on the forehead when they're about to wheel me out. And she takes her two fingers and puts them to her eyes and to their eyes. And she's like, I'm
oh,
watching you. I'm watching you. And she's like,
okay.
I'm ready. And then she just starts to crack her knuckles. And I'm like, all right, Billy Bad Butt, go
Lord.
sit down. I mean,
Yeah.
she's only like 5'3", and she's cute.
Yeah.
She's tough. And she's like, I'm warning you. She's like, I'm not scrappy for a reason. And it's just so cute. And I'm like, I love you. She's like, I love you. And then as they're wheeling me down the hall, she's like, I warned you. It's like really, really loud. And it's just the sweetest, sweetest kid. And that's the thing. And she worships you. Like, this is Aunt Dana. Like, she'll be messaging and she's laughing. I'm like, what are you laughing at? She's like, oh, Aunt Dana and I are talking. And I'm like, do you mind telling her sister says hi, the sister from another mister? She's like, I'll get to it, mom. Are you serious? I was like, she messages you more than she messages me. She's like, don't be mad. It's okay. And I'm
No,
like,
I
that's
message her because there are few people. There are very few people. It's not like I'm too good or too busy for anybody, but
for me.
I do have a lot going on right now. Like I am honestly
She's my kid.
overwhelmed. Like I'm
Have
an
time to message
octopus
me.
and all eight tentacles of my octopusism here is like they're like being stretched way thin. But there are very few people that I will always respond to, and your daughter's one of them. Although if I don't respond to her right away, I get like
Question
when I
mark.
come back to my phone, the question marks. And I'm like, honey, stop question marking me. I will get to you when I can. If I don't respond to you right away, it's because I'm on a Zoom with a client, whatever. Yeah, she doesn't care. So I get question marks.
I get it all the time. I can't even respond quick enough.
I know she's very impatient that way, but it's
Yes.
okay. You know what? I appreciate that she asserts herself because I know for a fact that there is no way in hell that anybody's ever going to mess with her. And I wish that for all of us, including you and me and all of our listeners, I mean, one of the most powerful things we can do is stand very firm in knowing who we are, what we deserve, what we will and will not tolerate, and I mean, making it very clear to the people who we allow in our lives. And
Yeah.
I think that's an important thing because that's your, people want to know, or what are the red flags? Screw the red flags and all that. That the reality is, if you set those boundaries and you're very clear, that that's it. There
Right.
is no compromising. There is
Right.
no compromising. I've been, Doug does often, bring up that I'm a little rigid. I'm a lot rigid. But I told him, unfortunately, I'm not even sure I had boundaries. If I did, they were very loose. They were floating around in the Atlantic Ocean somewhere, or maybe the Pacific, because I like Hawaii. But, they were nowhere near. Now, man, those boundaries are there. They're like an electric effing fence that you will get shocked if you cross one of those, or if you even try to. And I said, sometimes yeah, your balls get zapped because I need to be very firm right now. I'm going to be probably too firm on my boundaries because that is my way of ensuring that nobody's ever, well, somebody's probably still going to hurt me, but I at least will ensure that I will never be abused or mistreated by anybody, you know,
Yeah.
unexpectedly, I guess is the best way to say it. But Faith is an amazing example of that. And I think it's an example of what happens when the things that have happened to you occur, that you don't want that to happen to your daughter. And we all know that we're not going to live forever, and we gotta instill all of our wisdom and all the things that we wished we knew and that we had in ourselves in our children, because we never know when our time's up. And so I think you have very clearly done that, because she's trying to beat my husband's ass, and he's as big as your husband, and we're a few states over. So
And
but
she'd be like,
but
road
you know
trip,
what,
road trip. Oh
she
yeah.
she has no, like, there is nothing that's going to stop her. If
There's
I
not.
said he was mean to me and I'm crying, man, I'm pretty sure she'd be here in a few hours banging on the door
She
ready
would.
to brass knuckle him. I know she would.
I know
But
she would.
and God love it. God love it. But we need to all take a little lesson from her, even if we're a little, well, we can take it down a little bit of a notch and not go looking for those fights, but we'll
She's
leave her
like, Mom
exactly
told me I
where
can't
she's at.
start them, but I can stop them. And I'm like, well, don't instigate them either, right? Like, gonna just,
Right.
and
Right. Exactly.
she was so sweet because in front of our bed is like one of those benches that you sit
Yeah.
on, put shoes or whatever. And she was like, Mom, I can find a way to sit on that and sleep on that to be in here with you. And I was like, that is
Oh,
so sweet. No, because I worry because she used to have seizures, she used to have epilepsy. If she hits her head, they can
yeah.
come back. And so she's like, Mom, I could sleep on the bench. And I was like, no. And then she's like, how about Dad sleeps on the sofa? And I'm like,
Yeah.
no,
I was gonna say that's not a bad idea,
right.
actually.
But she's a kicker. And so I'm like, and she's like, I'm right here. And like it's so funny because she'll text me constantly, like, Mom, are you okay? And I try to explain to her that one, I only have one hand, which I think by now she'd know. So I don't hold the phone in my hand 24/7. So let's just say, for instance, right now the phone is on the other side of my desk. And I'm not allowed to turn, twist, pull, push, bend over, nothing. So if I try to reach over, just like you just said, and it takes me a minute because I have to like reel the chair and I have to get
Yeah.
on the phone, I have like 18 question marks. Like, why didn't you answer me? What's the problem? What's going on? Why didn't I hear anything? Hello? And I'm like, I was reaching for the phone. Why did it take you so long? What's the problem? And I'm
I
like,
know.
and it's cute because she doesn't have the ability to understand time management. Like she
Right.
doesn't do that. And I get it, but it's hysterical because she's like, I'm not playing. I'm not
Yeah,
playing.
and you know what? I think it's good, especially with her watching out for you. I mean, it shows that she's concerned, but it also is comforting, at least for me, not being anywhere near you, that she would know, and maybe it's a little excessive with the question marks and the worry, but it's not a bad thing, especially because you two do have to look out for each other's medical situations. And if
Right,
anything's going to happen to you, it would be discovered pretty quickly if there was
right,
an
right.
issue. But yes,
Well,
believe me, I know I have to text her. Like, I'm now at the point where I'm like, okay, so like I have like back to back appointments all day, or I'm going to be at a family thing or something. Like, I'm not going to have my phone on me. So if I don't, she's still, but I try to like,
well, she's like, I never want to lose my aunt Data. Never, 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 never,
oh,
never.
there's no
Um,
losing anybody.
and I was like, you're good. And like the other day, getting ready for surgery, like you have to jump in and take an antibacterial shower because the the wash wipes they use, I can't use them.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna jump in the shower. I dropped the shampoo bottle, and I swear to you, I don't know who ran up the stairs first. They're banging on the door. What happened? Are you okay? What happened? What happened? What happened? I'm like, I dropped the shampoo bottle. It was slippery. It's good. I'm good. I'm fine. Really, just it's good. Like,
Yeah, but you know what? If you were with a narcissist and that happened, there would be nobody coming.
no, that's so true.
They would turn up the TV, or that's what my ex liked to do, just turn up the TV, drown me out. So, that's a good thing that they're coming checking on you, and that's healthy. We want healthy relationships.
I know. We still have so many,
I can't even imagine.
oh my goodness, chapters of questions that I'm still putting together. So we are going to get better. This is all my fault because of my surgeries that we haven't been able to do an episode lately. And y'all can count me for that because that's on me. So I'm going to, if she, I'll get on her schedule soon enough
We're
or
both, yeah, we're
I'll
both
let
just
Faith
very
do it.
busy. So it's not a big deal. We will get to these questions. We're going to keep chucking away and we'll get there. But I think I speak for everybody, Victoria, that we just want you to get better. We are
Oh,
hopeful that this surgery will help you not have as much pain as you've had to deal with. I know you're like tough and rough and no medication, no painkillers, and here
no,
I
nothing.
whine about my pellet and my ass hurting, but we just want you to be good. We want you to feel good, and despite what you say, you are beautiful and you look amazing. Yeah,
No
girl,
makeup on.
be
My hair's
cross eyes,
great.
whatever. It's fine. I
Oh,
only have the makeup and hair done today. I mean, not that I don't love you and try to look okay for you, but I don't
thank
care what
you.
I look like when I come on. I just have had other things today that I had to look like I didn't crawl out of the TV like the girl from the ring. So that's all. No, you do not look like, don't point
I
at
do. I
yourself.
can't
You
even
are
raise
so
my hands above my
ridiculous.
neck. Like, I'm not allowed to have my hand over my. This
No,
is
who walks around with their hands over their head? You don't need to raise your hands over your head to get dressed. I like you got like a tracksuit on. It's like
do, but I
retro
can't even put a
80s.
bra on underneath it. So it's a
I
little.
never wear a bra. I probably shouldn't say that on a podcast that so many people listen to. I don't wear bras everywhere. They're annoying. Or are your titties big? You have big boobs, don't you?
I've had a reduction because they replaced my
Oh.
shoulder, but they're still not
Ugh.
small.
Okay, well, I've never had that problem. I mean, I always get the guys that are like, my grandpa said more than a handful's a waist. And I mean, when you've had that said to you numerous times, you're like, okay, I got little titties. I get it.
They give you when you have a reduction is they lift you, so you never really have to wear a bra again, which is great. And
Oh,
you don't have to worry
yeah.
about the flopping over to the sides. That's great. But yeah, so
I wish I had problems of flopping and I don't know. Yeah,
if I
I'm
had your body,
sorry.
I'd walk around naked. Are you kidding me? I would always be walking around like, woohoo, look at this. I'd be going around the hospital with my gown open to the back. Yeah, look at this.
Yeah, I
Not
can't
me.
do
I'm
that
like, look,
right
it's a
now.
full moon on Thursday. Like, it's that's what I do. Like, look at this. It's a solar eclipse right here. No, extra
You're
padding.
too much. No,
Not
I am
extra
actually digging your tracksuit reminds me of like what was
80s.
that group in the 80s?
I
I'm
know.
thinking I have the song playing in my head and I can't think of it.
Say Menudo. I'm hanging up.
No, it wasn't Menudo. I had a Menudo t-shirt though. They were Puerto Ricans. No, the rap group.
Run
It's
DMC.
tricky. It's tricky. Yes, Run DMC. I'm like running the song. It's tricky through my head. So we just have to get matching tracksuits and we can make a video or something. Me, you, and Faith.
Well, I'm
I'd
wondering
say Michael and Doug, but I don't know if they make tracksuits for men that are.
that big.
We can't even find them shoes.
Right? Like, no, I'm wearing this because I wear surgically friendly clothes, and they like I literally have to wear waistband pants so that they
Yeah,
can not hit all the stuff all over my back.
right.
Thank God I don't have hair on my back, because I think I'd be not a happy person. Then this is just a zip up because I
Yeah,
can't, I can't button right now. You can't like reach up here and button, and I just zip this
right.
up, and it's like I'm not going anywhere. I'm home,
No,
and
it's cute. I like Run
I look like
DMC. I can still
I can't do
jam
that.
to it.
I can't do the right stuff. I can't do it right now. I'm just like, and the drive home was the longest drive because my husband had to drive it. And I'm like, this is the longest 2 hours of my life. Like, And I'm sitting there, and he used to be a cop too. And I'm like, dude, the speed limit is 70. Grandmas are passing you. You're doing 45 on the interstate, for the crying out loud. Could you put a little metal in the foot? Like, do you have any idea how
Oh, he
long
had
it takes?
precious cargo on board.
No, he was tired, and I couldn't
Oh,
drive. And so I'm like, for the love of God, right now, instead of a 2 hour ETA, we have a 2 hour, 41-minute ETA. Could you kind of just, there's no, just a little, push down a little bit on the accelerator. It's the one next to the brake. You used to be in high speed chases, for crying out loud. What
you
is
need to
wrong?
get him one of those like automatic driving cars that they drive themselves.
But he'll
I
definitely
had
go to sleep.
I rented a car that was like that. It was, gosh, it was a few years back, but honestly, it freaked me out because I like to be in control on the road. And like, it was like bumper to bumper traffic, like it would start going. And I mean, the car was doing it, but it was like, I was going to panic. Like, it was not fun. But I would recommend Michael gets one so that he can drive the speed
He'll be
limit.
ordering mood, and we'll be at a restaurant. He'll start ordering, and he'll just like
Are you serious?
within 3 seconds.
See, if we ever got together, we just have to make sure there's two recliners because I love Doug very much, but I don't know if it's because he's older than me or it's just him. But my God, he can go to sleep anywhere, anytime. And then he like does this thing where he's like, forgive me, everybody hears me snorting like a pig because I'm like pretending to wake up from being asleep for the last 10 minutes. And then he'll be like, oh, yeah, yeah. Like pretending like he knows what's going on TV. And I know, I literally look at him. I'm like, you have no freaking clue what's going on. Don't even. He'll
No,
be
he's
like,
like, I think I
oh
fell
gosh.
asleep. No, no. What? No. We had a group of kids in the car, and they were all like, that's impossible. He went to sleep between the light turning yellow and red. Like, how did he do that? And then
I
I'm like,
wish I could do that.
I wish I could do it.
I need that superpower.
Right? And he's like, I thought I was about to doze off, and they're all like, you're snoring. I'm like, just,
All right. Well, y'all heard enough about our husbands and their sleeping issues, and my
right?
butt hurts and your back and
I'm left in stitches. They actually stitched me up and then put tape on top of it. So that's going to be fun to take off, let me tell you.
oh my gosh.
And they did it where I can't take them out myself. Mean
Yeah,
people.
well, probably that's a good thing because you do too much by yourself.
But who
You
wants
shouldn't
to
be
put the
doing
tape on
that stuff.
stitches?
All right. Well, thank you all for listening.
We'll get back on it and get to these questions and
Yes.
answers. And
And please keep sending us more questions. We will eventually get to them. Christmas
oh,
is coming in, 8 months or so. So
8 months. It's 6 months. No, it's 8 months from today. It's Christmas.
there you go. And you were trying to prove me wrong, sister.
No, never, never. All right, thank you guys for listening. I will get us back on schedule where we are doing this like we're supposed to. My apologies again. Blame me. It's fine.
That's okay. No, there's no blame involved. People just love listening to us
And our fun redhead
and our fun
freaking.
lives, and we'll get it together, people. Thank you.
We'll talk to y'all soon.